better. Hey, it seems so right.
Presenting Vocal Compressor by WA Production. With so many compression options out there, it can be tricky to find the right one to suit your vocals. Vocal Compressor solves that problem with a compression chain that's transparent, balanced, and adds subtle saturation, colour and grit to make your vocals sit perfectly in a mix. Running as a multi-format plugin for Mac and PC, this easy-to-use compressor plugin features 3 compression stages focused on peaks, balance and flavour. There's a useful noise gate and special frequency shaping via the colour slider. Vocal Compressor also comes ready with many presets suitable for all sorts of different audio, from synths to bass lines. So grab some headphones or listen through decent monitors to hear the sometimes subtle effects of the processing. Here are some before and after examples, switching Vocal Compressor in and out with the bypass control.
I can love, but I'm not in love with you. I'm close, but I'm miles away from you. I can love, but I'm not in love with you. I'm close, but I'm miles away from you.
Everybody feel that house rhythm now. Everybody, come on. Everybody feel that house rhythm now. Everybody, come on.
I've never found the words to tell you, didn't have the nerve to say. I'm sorry, I'm ashamed, I've waited until today.
Left from Jamaica and reach Europe. DJ them abuse it till we get all fed up. Well, if you is a clown, you figure a circus. Listen them your lyrics from the mic genius. Why is this Chinese man where they call him Confucius? And me give the tear it up Pythagoras 3.140 to 122 over 7.
This is the main interface and it's really easy to work out what's happening with the signal flow from left to right and top to bottom. The 3 compressors are labelled peaks, balance and flavour, and each has an adjustable threshold level and a makeup gain dial. The balance compressor also has a mix ratio dial, which I'll come to in a sec.
It's not an ordinary waking moment.
The first step in the signal chain is the peaks compressor, which removes amplitude spikes from the signal to make it sound smoother.
It's not an ordinary way.
Listen to how it aggressively clamps down on the rogue dynamics of your vocal, and watch the meter too. You'll only need to push down the threshold by a few dB to hear the effect in action, as you want to aim for largely transparent processing.
Not like any kind of happening before. It's not an ordinary waking moment. Not like any kind of happening before.
The next compressor in the chain is balance. This is a parallel compressor that leaves loud transients intact, whilst making the softer parts of your audio louder. This results in reduction of the overall dynamic range to make sure the vocal sits better in the mix. For this compressor, you'll often need a much bigger threshold to hear the effect, so don't be shy in pulling down that threshold level. Use the mix and makeup dials to set the balance between the lightly compressed peaks output and the heavily compressed balance compressor.
It's not an ordinary waking moment. Not like any kind of happening before. It's not an ordinary waking moment. Not like any kind of happening before. It's not an
Lastly, the flavour compressor. This one has an integrated tape saturation curve to add harmonics, grit and flavour to the audio.
It's not an ordinary way.
Start subtly and then adjust the threshold until you can hear the bite of your vocal, so it clearly rides over the top of your track.
It's not an ordinary waking moment, not like any kind of happening before. It's not an ordinary.
There are some more controls towards the bottom of the interface that can help you out. This gate dial removes unwanted pops, clicks and noise. As I increase, it minimises breath sounds.
It's not an ordinary waking moment, not like any kind of happening before. It's not an ordinary waking moment, not like any kind of happening before.
The colour slider activates a frequency curve that's specifically tailored to vocal processing, making your vocal performance sound as polished as possible.
Like any kind of happening before.
Brighter to the right,
It's not an ordinary waking moment,
and a more rounded sound to the left.
not like any kind of happening before. It's not an ordinary way.
As I mentioned before, you can click the Vocal Compressor logo to bypass the plugin entirely, and use the output dial to match volume levels for accurate A-Bing.
It's not an ordinary waking moment.
Finally, you can choose to mix the compressed signal with your original raw audio via this central mix ratio control, so you can create your own parallel compression effects.
Waking moment, not like any kind of happening before. It's not an ordinary waking moment, not like any kind of happening before.
Don't forget the preset folder containing many settings that can be used on all sorts of audio, not just vocals. If you're looking for an easy, out-of-the-box solution to vocal processing, then try Vocal Compressor on your lead and background parts. It's a quick and easy way to control dynamics and get that professional feel. For more info, head to waproduction.com or the Plugin Boutique site. Thanks so much for watching.